everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I have a special guest all the way out in Singapore working on a project that you definitely need to keep your eyes on. We have Kristoff with Request Finance. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Of course. Well, I want to learn more about you first before we dive in. Can you give us some background on yourself?
So I'm an entrepreneur with a finance background. Also a YCombinator alumni. I think I've been traveling quite a lot in Europe, China, US, and now I live in Singapore, and I've been living here for 4 years. And especially where I've got some expertise in the crypto industry, because I've been building product there for 7 years now.
Wow. So you got in 7 years ago, so that puts you right around 2014. How did you first hear about it? And what made you decide wow, this is an industry I need to go ahead and pay more attention to?
That's a good question. Actually, I first heard about crypto in 2012 with Bitcoin. And I was thinking, interesting. But at this time, I had a big job as a CFO in Switzerland. And it's only in 2014 when I decided to leave my job and decided to create a company in the international money transfer industry. That I thought, actually, this technology, Bitcoin, is something that we could use as a backbone to power international money transfers. So we actually did it. We managed to transfer money from Chinese yuan in China to France, for example, in euro, with Bitcoin as a backbone, without the transferers to know that there was Bitcoin being used. And it cost 1% instead of 10 to 12%. So that was a great use case. Unfortunately, not very legal. So that's not what we focused on. But that, really, you could see the magic of Bitcoin. And then the ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem grew so much. Now you've got stablecoins. It's much more efficient for international money transfers.
Which is amazing. And real quick, just because you're speaking to my entrepreneurial soul for a quick second, you left from being a CFO in a Switzerland bank to going all in, or to go into the crypto space. There are a lot of people with nice, cushy jobs in the corporate world or just in other facets of their life that are having some success in crypto, or even trying to find ways to start to work more in this space. What would you what would you tell that person who's conflicted about whether or not to make the jump?
I would tell them to learn, to read the books. There's a great book about Coinbase, another one about Ethereum. I think it's called The Crypto Machine. Read books, learn. Don't spend too much time in the crypto communities. Try to learn async. And once you feel like you really understand some part of the ecosystem, which is it's really unlikely that you're going to understand the whole part, the whole ecosystem. So once you feel like you really understand the part, then you can build something there. You can get more involved. You can even invest if that's what you're into.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice, and I appreciate that answer. So now you dive into crypto. You are sending money with Bitcoin being the backbone. Doesn't turn out to be as legal as you would like it to be, but now we have stable coins. We have other means, and it looks like you've been able to package a lot of that together and ultimately create Request Finance. So tell us, what is Request Finance, and what are you ultimately trying to accomplish?
So actually, this project in the money transfer industry is something that evolved in a comparison service that went through 3 accelerators, including the YCombinator. And at the YCombinator, we understood a few things that are life-changing, such as the fact that all the money transfers happening through our platform, so that was 1,000 a month, were always happening because there was a need to pay an invoice in a different currency. And therefore, the whole money transfer industry exists just because the banking system is inefficient and is not financially inclusive. There's a few industries like that. I think the bookkeeping industry is quite close to being a result of inefficiencies in the tax system. So we were like, obviously, it makes so much sense to create a technology for payment requests that could apply to the invoicing use case and also apply to the cross-currency and international money transfer use case. So that's what we are building with Request Finance. That is a product for invoices and payments. And this product is relying on a technology, and the technology is a request network.
Got it. Wow. So a lot of different layers built on that. So walk me through each of them. So where would be like the starting point for someone listening? And then what are the different other tools that we can go to on top of it?
So basically there are two websites. That's a good way to start. The first website is Request Network. It's a technology. The technology is doing payment requests on blockchain and connecting to other payment networks such as Polygon, Ethereum, Phantom, Near, Fuse, Binance Smart Chain, and others. And the second website is Request Finance. That's the main product, the one that is driving 90% of the growth of the technology today. And this one is an app that is useful to manage crypto transactions in a compliant way. So that's basically companies sending each other invoices and paying them in crypto can now have a compliant setup with proper documentation for their invoices. And this app, Request Finance, is actually growing quite fast because it was created last year with one user in September. And now in November, we've got a bit more than 900. So that's 900 businesses who adopted the product. And what's interesting is this is just the first website app on top of the technology. And there's going to be a few others. So among the others, which are today less successful, but still promising, there's a create.request.network, for example. And there's a few builders or entrepreneurs who are currently working on integrating request network technology, more or less in a stealth mode at the moment. But it's promising for the future because once one app managed to get traction, then the other ones are more likely to get traction as well.
Right. It's you're building an ecosystem of tools that all feed each other, which is smart. And you're setting the foundation so that each one can kind of relate to one another and can help service each of the different components of a company. I mean, I was looking on Request Network on your website, and you're saying that you're within 750 plus companies and DAOs that use Request Network, which is awesome. So for someone listening right now, they have a company and they want to be able to use your two resources right now. So Request Network and Request Finance. Walk us through how that process would work.
So there are two types of companies. There's, for example, a company that wants to build an invoice financing app or a payment request app, but for expenses, or even a payment request app for salaries. Such a company need to connect directly to the protocol, so to request.network. While a company that has operations and is paying invoices in crypto every month and is spending 10 or 20 hours a month managing invoices and making the payments, this one needs to use request.finance for their operations, but they're going to save 16 hours a month. And more than that, it's going to be compliant for them. So they have everything to win.
That's great. So when you talk about compliance, who all are pretty much all countries compliant, or is everything set up to where, like, if you need to spit out a ledger to be able to give for tax purposes, like it's able to help cover all of that?
Yeah, so definitely. To make it simple, we've got a finance department in a company that needs to prepare the accounts. Then so most of the time there is an external accountant that needs to understand what has been done for the account preparation and build the financial statements. Then an auditor is going to verify those financial statements. And then the tax authorities might do an audit as well. So in our case, basically the finance department of the crypto-friendly company is going to show proper documentation to the external accountant, that he is going to be super happy because he's like, oh my God, that's as usual. That's business as usual. I've got an invoice and there's a payment and it's really easy to manage. And then the auditor is going to also make a good job and it's going to be quite faster than with other ad hoc crypto transactions and so on and so on. So that's something that is helping the crypto processes for companies.
No, that's great. And it's needed. And companies especially do a ton of transactions all the time, or even if they're being paid in crypto, it's very easy to get overwhelmed with trying to keep track of all of it. So this sounds like a very helpful tool to accomplish that. And
even just if you're a freelancer, for example, if you are sending 3 invoices a month and you want to get paid in crypto, that's the most compliant way. So basically, to me, if I was a freelancer, what I would do is I would have a freelance company and an external accountant. I would use Request Finance for sending invoices to my 3 clients every month. And then I would download the report or download the invoices and give them to the accountant. And the accountant is not going to ask any question. It's very simple. He's used to invoices. He's used to proper documentation.
Right. No, that's great. That's a really good way to say it, because there are definitely in the crypto verse, a lot more freelancers want to get paid in crypto and don't necessarily have the cleanest way to do it. Just trying to do like a person-to-person type of transfer. And those aren't necessarily the easiest to stay compliant with. So this sounds like a very good solution for a lot of those freelancers. So everyone listening, if you're a freelancer and you're thinking about, I can now get paid in crypto and do it in a compliant way, Request Finance sounds like a great first start. When you were creating this, and I just want to take a quick step back again, you went through 3 different accelerators, including YCombinator. So you did a lot of refining. You've done a lot to create a product that the users want, that our users are using, and you've had to probably pivot quite a few times. Can you just walk us through like how important it is to, 1, stay resilient, and 2, that it's okay to pivot, make changes so that you ultimately create something that the end users will actually use?
It's a search of truth. Seriously, that's a very, very good question. I'm lucky that I've thought about it before, but it's basically, if you really look for the truth in your life, if you've got a scout mindset, that's a great book, by the way, The Scout Mindset. Then you're gonna, every day you want to search for the truth, even if it's painful. So that's something that applies to people, not only to companies. But when you do it for startups, you need to have this humbleness to try to understand, even if you are wrong, that you are wrong, and change. And as a person, if you really want to know the truth or get closer, you also need to apply the same principles. So I would say that it's okay to pivot as long as you feel good pivoting, because you get closer to the truth, to something that you really want to. Really helping people, to helping, basically what we do is we help the adoption of a banking alternative. And the banking alternative is decentralized, fair, is probably going to power the finance of tomorrow. So we are super proud of what we are doing. And as long as we feel useful, we have a sense of achievement, and we get closer to the truth. So we feel good.
No, that's great. I think that's an awesome answer. I appreciate that. So find your truth. It's okay to be wrong. Be humble, accept it, and keep pushing so you create something that's going to ultimately help others and the people that you're trying to serve. So great answer. Just going back to Request Finance, because I just thought of a use case that I think would be very unique. So one of the buzzwords out there right now are metaverses and NFTs and everything else like that. And as these different metaverses are being created, they're going to have ways to do transactions. Is Request Finance something that could potentially help service that?
It could. So today, among the users of Request Finance, there are already some Metaverse companies. But that's just one case. If we look at the technology that's behind it, it's a payment request without a third party. So those payment requests without a third party could power the different exchanges that are happening in the metaverse. So if we were together in the metaverse right now, and I want to buy your, I don't know, to buy something from you, then we could just exchange directly without an intermediary, without a platform that is taking a fee in exchange for an experience. So that would be much more direct and can also be efficient. But there are a few prerequisites for this to happen. And among the prerequisites, there's scalability. But as long as we keep growing in the space and the blockchains keep being more and more scalable, then we're going to be just where we need to be.
Absolutely. And you brought up scalability. Scalability is a challenge in a lot of different ways. I mean, we can see that with Ethereum and the gas prices that they're having. And the way that I want to phrase this is, as you look at where we're going in the future. So again, a year ago, you talked about how you had one user last September to over 900 companies now using a product. And I think a lot of that speaks to more companies wanting to move towards crypto, more adoption of crypto, and these institutions and these larger companies that are trying to find a way to get in this space earlier, because I think a lot of them are starting to realize that crypto's here, it's here to stay, and the future of finance is going in this direction. How do you think, as you look into, let's call it the next 1 or 2 years, what do you think a major focus is going to continue to be? Like, I think like what you're doing with transactions is going to be a huge topic. I think NFTs are going to continue to be like a large play. Metaverse is going to continue to grow. But what do you what's top of your mind that you think people need to be paying attention to?
There are many answers to this question. I think it's really important to pay attention to your own knowledge about the projects you deal with. So the more the excitement increases, the more bad projects gets exposure, and the more dangerous it becomes to be in that space. So there are a few things to keep in mind: is do your own research. And don't encourage the bad projects to have a good awareness. So basically, we should not support those ones. Most of the projects are good today, and I'm super excited about the one that popped. It's really interesting. I think we just need to let more maturity in the space and avoid something like an internet bubble. With crypto and with the investments coming from different institutions. If we can just avoid this by being responsible, that would be really nice, because we know that this space is going to grow 10x, 100x bigger, and we want it to grow as healthy as possible. So I would focus a lot of energy on this.
Definitely. Really good gems. Continue to do your own research, find out what is going on before you just go throw money on it. Prime example, unfortunately, of a scam coin that happened and got rug pulled, Squid Games, the popular show that's out on Netflix. They came in, someone created a coin, and I think over $2 million was stolen. Unfortunately, of course, that becomes a buzzword that gives the media fuel to say that, oh, crypto is still a scam, et cetera. A lot of people that I think are in the space can see through that and say that, like, yeah, scams happen every day, not just in crypto, but everywhere. And it just has more exposure. But to your point, do your research, make sure you're getting into a quality project. Don't highlight these negative ones or that could be a scam. And again, whatever you are willing to invest, you got to also have some risk tolerance to understand that you could lose it. So be careful with all that. Keep doing your research. Everything's going to turn out okay. But real quick, Kristoff, like as we kind of wrap up here, I always like to finish with 2 fun questions. One of them being, with all the information and knowledge that you've been able to gain over the last 7 years in being in crypto, what wisdom would you impart to yourself when you first got started in this?
Can you reformulate the question?
Yeah. So if you've been in this space for multiple years, you've learned a lot of lessons, core lessons as being both an entrepreneur in the space, as being an investor in the space, and just seeing different market trends. A lot of time when people first get into crypto, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's just a lot of information. It's a lot's going on. People make a lot of mistakes because they just don't know better. Some people are moving too fast because they don't know which way they should even be going. So like when you first got started and you were and you didn't really know which direction to go or what you were trying to figure out, if you could like meet yourself in the future and you have all this knowledge that you have today, like what are some like two or three lessons you would tell yourself just so you could have a better start into the crypto space?
I wish I would have understood earlier that the crypto space was initially something with maybe, I don't know, in 2014, maybe 1,000 builders. So among them, a few exchanges, a few companies. And I would have been a bit more involved in networking, because almost everyone among the first 1,000 people have made really, really great things, and we can still get in touch, but that would have been even more useful to be a really good friends with that kind of builders and build things together. Another one is the fact that there's difference between vision and adoption. So you can have the best vision of a decentralized world, the best vision of a metaverse, but to build a metaverse as fast as possible, what the best way in terms of growing adoption? Is the best way to build a metaverse from scratch, like Decentraland or Sandbox are helping with? Or is it to build Facebook and convert it to a metaverse? And I think it's obvious that once you have captured billions of people, it's easier to do whatever you want with them. So that's a big challenge that I wish I would have understood a bit before, because adoption is actually key. And at the same time, we've got some values, and there are things that Facebook did and is doing that we would never do. So with some limits, we need to focus on adoption, and we need to encourage the projects which have adoption in the crypto space and this whole industry.
I agree. I think those are two great lessons. One, going back to it, is networking. So if you're first getting started in this space, make sure you are connecting with a lot of these different communities that are out there and trying to go to some of the conferences and just being involved even in local crypto communities, because you can make some really, really good friendships who connect you to XYZ, and it can help expose you and help you grow way faster in this space than you could ever imagine going alone. And the second is, I think, a really cool message between vision and adoption. Adoption is king. It's hard to get there when you're building something new. I think Decentraland and Sandbox are both awesome. They don't necessarily have mass adoption just yet, but they do have vision and they do have some adoption. So it's just going to take a little bit longer time, but it doesn't make it any more or less valid. But it takes time to build, and it's okay. Keep chugging away and building something great, which sounds like what y'all been doing with Request Network, Request Finance, and all the other great things that y'all are building.
Speaking about building, there's something that is quite interesting as well for everyone who wants to build in this space. Whether you're a freelancer, whether you're in marketing, whether you are an engineer, first, the industry pays quite well. So for the engineers, it's at least 20% above the market. And second, the crypto project. So if you look at the projects in the top 500 at CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, they are all hiring, and it's a big fight for the best engineers, for the best marketing people. So there's really opportunities, and Request is hiring as well at many positions, almost all positions, by the way. So don't hesitate to try to get involved with projects. And even if you just do interviews and it's a bit challenging at the interview, it's a good lesson. And then you're going to do 5-10 interviews, and at certain time, you're going to find a job in the industry if you want to.
No, I think that's great. And again, Request Finance is hiring. So if you have an engineering background, marketing, or any other of the job descriptions that they have, make sure you go check that out and go apply. Why not? It's a really great industry to be a part of. But Kristoff, thank you so much for spending some time with us. What is a final thought that you want to leave with all the listeners here today?
I think it's really important that everyone in the space, so the companies and the people, build products that people love. So this is about being adoption driven, and build this with a long-term spirit. So build something that is going to be great in 2, 5, 10, 20 years. Because there's really an opportunity right now to build kind of the second wave of internet. So basically we tried to build internet. We did not really build it because it's a centralized internet. And now we have another chance, but we need to be long-term thinkers, and we need everyone to try to think this way. Especially to build something great.
Awesome. I agree. That's build for the future. Yeah, the companies that are building to last are going to absolutely crush and do amazing. And the ones that are just trying to make a quick buck, they might be successful, but ultimately a lot of people are not going to be successful. So I think it's a great final thought. Thank you so much for sharing that. What are ways that people can connect with you and learn more about both Request Network and Request Finance?
I think the best is on Twitter. Just type Request Network or Request Finance, and the Twitter profile will pop up. Same for myself. Connect on Twitter. I answer to almost all the messages.
All right, perfect. Well, again, we really appreciate all your time today, all the knowledge you dropped, all the amazing advice you dropped as well. And I just really want to tell you thank you again. And of course, for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.